I'd like to recognize Mrs. Miller from West Virginia for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. To all of you, thank you so much for being here today. Mr. Smith, in your testimony, you discussed the language utilized by groups that mention either federal candidates or elected officials, which promotes, attacks, supports, or opposes, otherwise known as PASO. It is my understanding that H.R. 1 uses this highly subjective qualifier as a standard for all communications. With that in mind, given the broad use of PASO in H.R. 1, what kind of chilling effect do you believe this will have on free speech in our country?
Well, I think it will have a substantial chilling effect, and I think that's why the Supreme Court, in a number of opinions dating back for almost a half a century, has said that the standards used to regulate speech have to be clear and closely tied to elections, that this kind of vague standard does not work. For a long time, it used a standard of express advocacy. You had to say vote for, vote against, support, defeat. Later, the court expanded that a little bit to anything that was susceptible of no other reasonable meaning than a request to vote for a candidate, and even then, only if it aired within 60 days of an election. So I think this kind of broad standard is almost certainly unconstitutional, and it's unconstitutional precisely because it chills so much speech that goes outside of efforts to elect candidates, our ability just to talk about issues and civic affairs.
Well, that pretty much leads into my second question, which was what impact would the passage of this legislation have on those groups that are not political but may put out policy-oriented communications?
It would be very serious, and I've given a number of examples in the written testimony. I'd just say that I should add to this, of course, that the bill includes personal liability for officers and directors of some of these organizations. So you'd almost have to be crazy to let your organization get anywhere close to this promote, support, attack, oppose standard. And again, what does that mean? As I suggested, again, a government union might take out an ad maybe in a month, right, or 3 weeks from now saying, don't let President Trump, we shouldn't have to pay because he wants his wall in Mexico, so tell him to reopen the government. Is that an attack on President Trump? I think that's the kind of thing that folks would not know and would make people very hesitant to run that kind of ad.
So it is a personal risk as well.
Yes. Yes, not only a risk. Plus, it would be a risk, by the way, as well to the tax status of some of the organizations involved. Many of these organizations might have some type of tax status. 501c3 organizations would have to be very careful because if they engage in speech that is now defined as political speech, 501c3 organizations can't engage in political speech. They would jeopardize their tax-exempt status. So that's another reason that these organizations would stay far clear of commenting on any kind of public issue.
Thank you very much. I yield back my time.